he's responsible for the stream. And if you were at our taste of Rocky Hill, we have a big tent, we have the stage. So if you have a small or a large party, come. And he's for the back, of course. And Linda Emmons and Mark Walworth, they'll sell water up there. And at the back of your program, those are the people that sponsored this event. So when you can, please visit their establishments. And the moderator, and most of you know him, is Joe Enzo, former Patch editor. And he's working with WMSD. And the town committee chairman and I'm sorry, your name again? Ina Lawrence. Would you three come up here? We're going to have them introduce the candidates, and if the candidates could stand.
She's going to be last.
She's last. I'm
She's
first.
going to be last, yes.
Good evening. I want to thank everyone who's here for coming to the debate. I'm going to first do the town council. Bill McDonald, unfortunately, is not here at this time. He's going to work, but he's going to try to get here. Barbara Cirillo, she's chairman of the land acquisition.
Farmland preservation.
And farmland preservation. Our majority leader, Joe Cohen, who is a majority leader and former fire chief of Rocky Hill. Kevin Clements, he hasn't even reached it. He has a PNC meeting in about 10 minutes. Thank you for coming. And Alan Warcourt, chairman of PNC, is at the town hall. Board of Education, Chairwoman Ralph Kohler. Marie Manila, chairperson of Finance. James Moriarty, member of the Policy Committee. John Beddock, chairman of Policy Committee and member of Finance. Skip Rivard, vice chairman. And that's it for, you don't want to. You don't want to. Okay, that's it.
Hello everybody, my name is Jeff Bowman, I'm the chairman of the Republican Town Committee. First I'd like to introduce our slate of Team Henry, beginning with the Board of Education. Incumbent and Board of Ed member, Brian Dillon. Also incumbent Board of Ed member, Frank Morse. Out, incumbent Board of Ed member, Dalip Desai. And two ladies that we new to the ticket, brought into the Board of Education. Some of you may recognize them from their hard work and stay accredited. Jennifer Allison. And Danielle Plum. Town Council. Incumbent Nadine Bell, minority leader. Incumbent Frank Zepps. Incumbent Kathy Vargas. And and 2 new members who bring a wealth of experience and background. Meg Casasanto. And rounding up the ticket, Val Trapone. Thank you.
Good evening. My introductions are a bit shorter, but I am delighted to introduce for the first time in almost 2 decades our independent town council candidate, Lisa Moriarty.
Thank you. And now we'll have the candidates come out.
Henry!
And by the toss of the coin, Tim is going to go first, is that correct?
I don't know, you stole my microphone.
Big enough voice.
Pat, just introduce Joe, our moderator, please. And then
And I forgot to introduce Joe, our moderator. Joe, could you stand?
Welcome, everybody. I'll be moderating today. Each of the candidates will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement. Tim, Mr. Moriarty, the point house I had before the event, and he will go first. And then it will continue in an alternating serpentine-style format. Each of the questions, the candidate will be given 4 minutes, and we will start with you, Mr. Moriarty.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting on this great event, something we haven't seen around here in a while. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a lifelong resident of Rocky Hill, ran range and tried to high school back in 1977. Yes, I am a true terrier. I was fortunate enough to sit on 2 state championship soccer teams, something I'll never forget. As far as my political career in Rocky Hill and some of my devotion to Rocky Hill, I was chairman of the Permanent Building Committee for 10 years prior to coming on to the council, where I oversaw some of the majority construction projects in town, being the auditorium being one, the town hall, police station, numerous school projects. When I got elected to the council, I was appointed chairman of government operations, I was majority leader. Last term, after the election, Mayor LaRosa appointed me deputy mayor, and I filled his spot when he resigned from the council. I look forward to serving the town of Rocky Hill like I did in the last 8 years, and I will stand up for each and every one of them. Thank you.
Mr. Vasel, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Henry Vasel. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Moriarty for attending the debate tonight. Without him, this wouldn't be possible. I'll give you a little background about myself. I've lived in Rocky Hill over 20-something years. My family's owned land in Rocky Hill since 1967, so we've had our presence here for over 40 years. I've been a volunteer firefighter for 15 years in Rocky Hill. Worked under former Chief Kohanek. Joe, you're only a member of your family there. But ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to talk about all the things I've done for Rocky Hill, because we do my whole 2 minutes, and that's really not what I want to do. We want to talk about leadership. We want to talk about a vision for the future. I mean, you guys are here today because you want answers. You want answers to questions. You want to make sure I care about the town as much as you guys do. You want to make sure that the ideas I have, the knowledge I have, the team I've assembled, Team Henry, that we can put a plan in action and we can actually make it work. And if you please do me a favor and listen up over the next hour, I'm sure you'll see that we're the right people for the job. We have it together, and we really know where we're headed. I want to touch on 5 topics. There's 5 things that I want to complete in my term in office as mayor. The first thing is the capital improvement project. All too long, our roads, our infrastructure, our buildings, they're deteriorating around us. There's no money put aside for capital improvement projects, and I think that's a mistake. As a small business owner, that's not how you run a business, and it's definitely not how you run a town. The second thing I want to touch on is all-day kindergarten. Something I support, It's something that's gonna happen, it needs to happen. We have 2.5 hours to teach all of our kids 6 hours worth of lessons. Good time. I have 3 more things to say.
So everyone's clear, there will be 4 minutes for each question. We will start with Mr. Vasel, and then we'll go from there. The first question, to continue on your point, is if you were elected, your primary goals and your vision for your term as mayor. Mr. Vasel, in 4 minutes.
All right? We're gonna touch back on the 5 points. We'll start with number 1. We need a capital improvement plan, folks. You have one in your household. If you have a small business, you have one there. It's how businesses run. It's how your household runs. It's how this town needs to run. Failing to have a capital improvement plan that's properly funded is a mistake. It's wrong, and it's going to lead to disaster in this town. The second thing, as I talked about, is full day kindergarten. We have 2.5 hours to teach kids what they need to learn in 6 hours. Kindergarten is very important, as I'm sure all of you went there. You have to interact with other students. You have to interact with other people. And with the Common Core standards handed to us, there's not enough time for interaction and the lesson plan to do everything we need to do. Third thing I want to hit on is our seniors. Valuable resource in our community. You people have donated your life to our community. You worked in the community. You paid your taxes for all these years. What has the community done for you? 2 things I want to do. It's a 2-pronged approach. I want to start with a $500 tax relief plan for the seniors. You've got to be qualified. Make no mistake about it. If you're a senior and you live 10 months out of the year in Florida and come home for 2 months, you're more than likely not going to qualify. I'm just putting that out there so there's no disappointment later on. But the seniors are important. I want to expand the senior plan. We have volunteers in schools. I'd like to expand it to town hall. Seniors have a lot of knowledge. They have a lot to offer. And you know what? 2 of my closest friends are actually over 80 years old, and I enjoy talking to them every minute I speak to them. The next thing I want to talk about is school safety. School safety, since 2005, has been a thorn in my side as a volunteer firefighter. We have a report we're in violation of sprinklers in the town schools since 2005, and I think that's disgusting. Ask any firefighter, don't take my word for it. The hardest people, as people say, are the children, because children are taught well. In a time of stress and emergency, they hide. To take children, put them in a situation where sprinklers can either deter or slow down a situation before it escalates, I think is terrible. I think it's the wrong thing to do, and I think somebody needs to look out for our children, and that's what Team Henry's going to do. The final thing that I want to complete in my first term is a charter revision. And charter revision is important for 2 reasons, and let me explain to you why. I hope I have time on it. Charter revision is important. Number 1, the budget process. We have a budget in Rocky Hill of $66 million a year. It costs $1.27 million a week, $182,000 a day to run this town. And we give all that authority to 9 people on a council. Now listen, I know what you're saying, Henry, we trust you. We have our faith in you and your team, and believe me, I do too. I handpicked this team. I have people with business backgrounds, finance backgrounds, CPA. We have an attorney on my team. I have a school teacher. Go right down the list, they're all 100% devoted to Rocky Hill. But we're not always going to be here. I think the people of Rocky Hill, all 19,000 of you, should have a say in how $66 million is spent. I think it's very important. I just have the 30 signs, so I'm going to wrap this up. You have a big smile from Mary. The final thing I want to do on the charter revision, and this is probably the most important, and I don't know if Mr. Moriarty's even thought about this. We have a new town manager coming. A new town manager is very important. It's like the CEO of our town. It's the person who runs this town. It's the person who makes decisions on a day-to-day basis of this town. The town manager right now is somebody we've been blessed
Mr. Vasel, over time. Mr. Vasel, Mr. piece of paper, your time is up. So, Mr. Moriarty, same question to you. If elected, what are your primary goals, your vision for your term as mayor?
Well, I'd like to touch on some of the things that Henry said. My first duty as being appointed mayor after the resignation of Mayor LaRosa was a budget meeting. So I'm trying to acquire. This year in a budget, capital improvement, we put in $1.5 million, 75% more than any other budget. So I think I already took care of putting money in capital improvement. We've also elected to put out for a referendum for road maintenance and road construction. Okay, roads for us is like everything else, okay? You know, your driveway you have to do every 20, 30 years, same thing with the roads. Long overdue. But that would be a choice for the residents of Rocky Hill, the taxpayers, okay? As a council, all we do is vote, put it to referendum, but ultimately, it's the taxpayers of Rocky Hill who make that decision, and it should be. I was one fight for all day kindergarten years ago when I fought for the referendums for schools. All right? Long overdue. The problem is we don't have the space. Here again, we put it to referendum. The taxpayers of town of Rocky Hill decided not to do that. Okay? It's not a problem funding it. It's the taxpayers voting for it so we can have the space for it. Kindergartners have to be on the first level of the school along with first and second graders. Okay? We do have a space issue here. We're looking in to take care of that. As far as fundraising, there's an election every 2 years. You know what? When elected people are elect them out, they don't do the job they're elected. All right? We do not want to end up in a fiscal cliff just like the federal government by going to referendum for a budget that could maybe go to referendum 5 or 6 times at the tone of, I don't know, $7,000 a clip. So you know, there's another thing out there talking about 3% increase. The last 4 years, the budget was 2.9. We stay under that 3% almost all the time. The other thing, too, we do have to take care of our seniors. They're the ones that supported us when every one of us went to school. I met with the seniors last Friday from both different parties. There's 2 different groups at the town hall. Very nice meeting. They need a bigger senior center, and we're going to push forward trying to do that. It's not going to be something that's overnight. It's going to take 2 to 3 years. Here again, it'll probably have to be a referendum. As far as the sprinklers, here again, we put it in the budget. $1.2 million. Those sprinklers are probably going to start going in maybe right after November, beginning of December. We have the operable window going into schools so the firefighters will be able to get them children on the second floor, and we will be up to code compliant. We've done more work in schools in the last 4 months than they've done in the last 4 years. And everyone you can
Mr. Moriarty, question to you. What are your thoughts on how to retain existing businesses while attracting new businesses to Rocky?
One thing we have to do is we have to have it where it's user-friendly for these different companies. You know, we have different types of businesses out there. We have our restaurants and our small strip mall type of businesses that rely on foot traffic and stuff in and out. And we have our other big corporations, our Loctite, Hinkle now it's called, some of the other office buildings up there and stuff. But we have to make it easier when a company wants to come, or a company wants to come to Rocky Hill to build, so they don't have to get tied down into planning and zoning, more user-friendly when they come to these different committees and stuff, so we can streamline it. There's numerous times when we lose some of these bigger corporations, they're the ones that we want, the bigger taxpayers, okay? And also hopefully that they can hire local people so we can keep all of our residents working down here. We do have different tax rates that we give them when these companies come to town. We have one coming from Germany right now. We have on West Street there. They're having their groundbreaking on the 28th of this month. They're a plastic injection mold manufacturing company. They make machines that actually do the molds. They went shopping elsewhere after we afforded them that tax rate. And guess what? They came back to Rocky Hill because this is where they want to be. It's going to be the North American headquarters. Thank you.
Mr. Vasel, same question to you. review, what are your thoughts on how to retain existing businesses while attracting new businesses to Rocky Hill?
Okay, thank you. First, I just want to clear up one thing Mr. Moriarty said. I believe he may have misspoke, or I don't know. The company on West Street, Aegis, actually didn't come from Germany. They're a German company. They came from Newington. Newington being right next door. I would like to talk about a couple of things that he said about the budget and the referendum. And I'm sure he understands why we need capital improvements, because I'm going to read you his quote. You know, they say actions speak louder than words. I think in this case, words will actually speak louder than actions. Town Council Special Budget Workshop, April 29, 2013. Mayor Moriarty referred to the issue with the road referendum, and he said it's because money was never put aside for the maintenance of them. They have an issue with their buildings because they never put money there to keep the buildings up to what they have to keep them up to. He then said to offset some of the costs, put some of the burden on the commercial side of the revenues. Those are his words. Those aren't even mine. As far as the schools, yeah, there was a lot of work done in the schools 4 months before election time. Where did the money come from? The money came from non-recurring accounts. You have recurring accounts and you have non-recurring accounts. This council sucked the money out of non-recurring accounts. They took $97,000 out of the fire department budget. $97,000. Very important. The technology today is constantly changing, as we all know. How many new cell phones have you had in the past 5 years? We have hybrid cars. We have electric cars. You can't play with the safety of the people of Rocky Hill. Woo! Next, I'd like to touch on attracting business. What I'm going to do as mayor is I'm going to appoint a liaison. A liaison is going to be a business owner who reports directly to the council. I'm going to assist business and I'm going to attend forums. I'm a small business owner. I know what it's like. The next thing I want to do for business, I want to perform what's called a retail gap study. We look at the businesses in town and we say, places are for lease, that's the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, it's actually a symptom, that's not the problem. The problem is we have a government that's taxing business right out of town. We are in a mindset right now that we can tax our way out of any situation. $81 million in referendum, $81 million. Our principal and interest payment on $81 million, folks, $4,600 a day. Every single day, $4,600. Because we can't have a capital improvement plan and we can't plan for the future. The retail gap study, what that is going to do for the town is we're going to see why people are leaving town. Why are you crossing the borders? Why are you going to Newington? Why are you going to Berlin? Why are you going to Wethersfield? What is it you're looking for? Are you creating a movie theater? Is it a mall? Do you need a high-end car dealership? Are you looking for high-end restaurants? Once we perform that study, figure out why people are leaving our town to do the shopping, then we take the EDC commission and we charge them with the task of finding people to fit Rocky Hill's needs in town and become revenue producers. That's how we unfortunately, the approach that they've taken over the past 10 years is the wrong one. I mean, they want to bring, you heard them. We want to bring big business in town. We want the cash cows in town. And then they want to milk the cash cow. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important as a business owner, you have to know the difference between a cow and a bull.
Next question to you, Mr. Vasel. How can we balance the constant development with the need to preserve open space?
That's actually something that I had hoped to work on before running for mayor because we're writing over our plan of conservation and development. The first thing we do is we need to get a lot of lease space in Rocky Hill actually leased. Before we go on and we develop new properties and we go on and develop more land, we need to have the space leased. We charge EDC commission with the task of, I want to see a 10% lowering of lease space, and I want to see 5% more business in town in a 6-month period. We asked the EDC, why hasn't this happened if it hasn't? And if it has happened, we move on. We raise our standards. But without goals and without standards, nothing gets done in town. Right now, you have a development in town, and you give so much land as open space to the town. The problem with that is the developers are always giving up the swamp land, the wetlands, which I think is absolutely foolish. We need to tell them we need the better land, and we need it to be contiguous. We designed the town so the contiguous open parcels are next to each other, and one day will form a bigger parcel of land. You know, open space is very important. A lot of towns are raising money for it. Once again, this is where we should be in a capital improvement plan. We need to put money aside every year for open space. A $10 million referendum, while the idea of open space is good and the idea of purchasing it is good, we don't need referendums. $81 million, ladies and gentlemen. They want another $10 million in roads because they haven't maintained them. Town of Wethersfield does between 12 and 18 roads a year. Rocky Hill's last road was over 6 years ago. The one after that was in 2009, we did Old Main Street under a federal grant. That, once again, is appalling. We have Gorman Road, we have Lavender Lane. Those roads don't even need to be plowed, they need to be mowed. We need to charge that tax to the parks department because
Same question to you, Mr. Moriarty. How can we balance the constant development with the need to preserve open space?
Well, as Henry said, the residents of Rocky Hill passed a $10 million referendum 2-1, so I guess the residents knew what they wanted. All right, here again, it was the choice of the council to put it out there to the residents. It was the residents' choice to bond that money. It will be bonded over a period of time. We're not spending that $10 million right away. And we don't want to buy the property. We want to buy the development rights. We want the farmers to still farm that land or have somebody farm that land. Okay? The other thing we can do, we play with conservation, we can change our zoning regs, size of lots, because we want to kind of keep the residential down. We want to keep that 60-40, 60 for residential, 40 for commercial, keep that balance to pay for the taxes. I find it hard to believe having a Republican sit right here. It's all like he wants to spend and spend and spend. All right? If you don't bond this stuff, it's all going in the budget. All right? Our budget last year rose $1.5 million for education. Our mill rate is 26.6. Now, up 0.7%. We're the lowest mill rate around compared to Berlin, Millington, and Wethersfield. Right? We can pay for all that stuff. But every time when I see somebody out there in the public, they tell me, don't raise my taxes. Okay? So we have to keep that balanced system of how we do it with the budget. And I'm all for letting the taxpayers in town choose on these school referendums, choose on these road referendums, and choose on these farmland preservations. And I'll tell you, my two candidates that are along with me, Joe Bohannon and Barbara Cirillo right here, worked diligently along with Councilor Zeps. I have to give them credit to the Frank Sargent and the farmers. Right? That we will do it right when we get the development rights to these farms. Okay, and with doing that, what that does is it keeps your taxes down because if you got 100 acres and a developer comes in and he builds, say, 150 houses, you'll be spending $45 million for a new school.
Mr. Moriarty, next question to you. Do you support the current plans for the fountain?
Yes, I do. It's long overdue. It's been a big private piece of property in this town. I remember years ago when the Anchorage family owned that piece of property and they ran it as a foundry. Most of the people who worked in there were town residents. The Tylers on Main Street, Andrew Elias down on Main Street there to Cromwell Line, and numerous other people at Rocky Hill. I remember years ago when they had the strikes down there. Okay? That's prime space on the Connecticut River. And that's one fortunate thing that we have in Rocky Hill here, the amount of open space along that river, whether it's parks or on the trail line there, or the rail line, or the old Pratt Whitney property, Al Choli's property, it's all prime space. When that project is done, it's going to put $45 million onto the tax roll. The best part of that is that developer is donating us a park in honor of Richie Tulisano, who put this town on the map with his leadership at the state capitol, and I'm proud of that. So he's the one that's selling in politics. All right? Those buildings on there are going to be the Victorian style perpendicular to the river, so when you drive down, you can see the river. The park is going to be right at the end of Glassbury Avenue. There's going to be a building 5 where the town is going to get 1,000 square foot meeting space, to restore the meeting space. A lot of people can go in there. I know a lot of the condo associations have nowhere to meet and stuff. We're going to have a walkway along the park. Hopefully someday you can join Ferry Park all the way down to Buckley Park, all the way down to Dimner Cottage. Gorgeous part of Rocky Hill, a lot of history. People of Rocky Hill should be able to see it.
Same question to you, Mr. Vasel. Do you support the current plans for the foundry?
I think the foundry needs to be developed. I question why in the past 6 months it's moved so quickly after almost 10 years of legal battle. $1 million we paid in legal fees. Of that, we paid $675,000 to the developer. The town of Rocky Hill. We paid $425,000 to the developer. He started demolition. He didn't want to do anymore. He said, I don't have enough money. The town of Rocky Hill kicked in another $250,000. $250,000, $675,000, $1 million in legal fees. Yes, I think the foundry should be developed. The foundry is actually a parcel that I own property near. I recuse myself from the foundry. I have no financial interest in the foundry, none at all. I just didn't want to put out there was some type of conflict of interest. Merely own property. Conflict of interest and ethics is what this town really, really needs to discuss. That's the best question. Looking at my opponent's speech just now, you would think that the foundry was already passed. It's not. It's in planning and zoning right now. Although the way he sounds is like it's a done deal. Makes you wonder what kind of thing went down. Makes you wonder what kind of thing went down.
Mr. Vasel, next question to you. What is your position on some of the blighted properties in town, such as Ames and other single-family homes?
Rocky Hill, once again, has become a town where we tax people out of town. The Ames property is a case in point. It's a property where the town of Rocky Hill, in their wisdom, instead of encouraging this developer, let's come to the table. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the retail gap study I talked about. Let's see what people in Rocky Hill need, and then let's help you get those tenants in your property. Let's make them generating revenue producers. Let's do that. What has the town of Rocky Hill done? They gave the guy a light ordinance. They gave him $100 a day for weeds in the cracks in his parking lot. That's not the way to bring business to the table. As a business owner, that wouldn't make me happy. I don't think any business owner would be happy and would be less likely to come to the table and talk about development and renting out properties when you get a fine of $100 a day. I think that's just wrong. As far as homes, another case in point. We have almost 60 homes in Rocky Hill right now in the foreclosure process. Almost 60 homes. Those are 60 people who are saying there's no leadership in Rocky Hill and we need someone to come forward and take it back. I spoke to a senior couple just last week. Almost 80 years old. Owned their house for 60 years. Had kids in their house, raised the kids in their house. Kids went on, bought homes in other towns, could no longer afford to live in Rocky Hill. Rocky Hill has become too expensive. The wife sat down in tears. She said, Henry, I'm losing my home. She says, my taxes are now more than my mortgage ever was in Rocky Hill. She says, that's a crime. I'm losing my home. I paid for it 30 years ago because my taxes are too high. What are you doing for the seniors? And I said, I have an app for that. Vote Team Henry November 5th, and the seniors will be helped. Thank you.
Mr. Moriarty, same question to you. What is your position on blighted properties such as the Ames building and other single-family homes?
Well, seeing that every morning when I drive to work, I have to look at the Ames building, seeing I live on Garden Street. For those of you that know, the owner of that that property right there, I don't see how he can't afford to cut his grass. This guy's got more money than I think everybody in Rocky Hill combined, so he should be able to afford to cut his grass. He's the same owner of the building with alongside 84 in Hartford that the city of Hartford blighted him. They tore it on there right when you get off to go to St. Francis Hospital. He's got properties all over New York. He's been investigated there for certain things. I won't say what they were. That is a prime piece of property right there. We've been in meetings with him. There was an agreement. Somebody was going to buy the building. The papers were on the table. The buyer signed it. The seller said, I want another $1 million. That guy doesn't want to sell that property. It's a write-off for him. We got to apply it. Our zoning enforcement officers right here, Frank Kelly, doing a great job out there. We're able to put Frank Captain, the fire marshal, back to the right. Yeah, it is an issue. We have some property out there on the Britain Avenue we got to try to take care of. It's a farm out there. You know, people do fall on hard times. It's unfortunate. In the last 4 years, it's probably been some of the hardest times for anybody. The town works with these people. They do get in a line. They go try to get somebody to go cut their grass. The problem we're having, and the house does go into foreclosure, the bank doesn't want to pay to cut the grass. You can't get a hold of the bank, and the bank don't care. And then it becomes a safety issue. Either kids are breaking in and hanging out there and partying there, or during August, got high grass, it could be a fire issue. Right? I don't see how somebody can say right now that you're going to run them out of town, taxes too high, and last sentence, you want to spend. That's supposed to be math to me.
Next question to you, Mr. Moriarty. There's a proposal for capping the former dump with tons of toxic waste going in the river. What is your stance on this plan, if in fact this is correct?
I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to answer that question too, but that is in litigation right now. I'm a standing mayor of this town. Trust me, I would love to answer that, but because it's in litigation, I've been instructed not to comment on the topic. Sorry.
Same question to you, Mr. Vasel. There's a proposal for capping the former dump. What is your stance on this plan, if in fact this is correct?
I just have a question, Mr. Wenzel. Since he didn't use his time, can I have it? Because I have a lot of things to say.
No, Mr. Vasel, you have 4 minutes.
I want to step back to one thing he said about the Ames property. He said it's a write-off for the owner, and he said that the owner has plenty of money.
Mr. Vasel, can we please stay on topic? We're discussing the former dump.
Absolutely. As soon as I finish. I just want to say, if somebody is using a property as a write-off, the right way to bring it to the table isn't to give them $100 a day for a write-off.
You're out of line.
Stick to the rules.
Answer the question.
Mr. Wenzel, could you please quiet the room?
Thank you, Mr. Vasel. You have 3 minutes left.
There you go. The landfill. As the mayor of the town, it's my job to make sure that people in Rocky Hill are safe. I think it's very important. I think whether you're a child or you're an adult, the landfill is very important, and it has to be safe. As mayor, I'm going to make sure that the landfill is properly closed, properly encapsulated, in accordance with all DEEP regulations, as well as town of Rocky Hill regulations. I'll make sure it goes through every process of planning and zoning. I'll make sure it goes through every process of wetlands. And I will bring them to the table before I start costly litigation. We've had over $1 million in litigation fees in the past 5 years. $1 million. We've had over $1 million in litigation fees with the foundry. I don't call that good government, and I certainly don't call that leadership. Thank you.
There'll be 2 more questions, and then we will have closing remarks. Mr. Vasel, the question is to you. Many of our residents have put their time and energy and talent into clearing, creating walking trails for Rocky Hill. What would you do to improve these trails in our town?
Thank you. That's a good question. Something I've been dying to answer. The trails in Rocky Hill are very important. We can make the trails a contiguous piece of property through most of Rocky Hill. Of course, they'll have to stop and start in certain places, but But trails should be made available. There's very beautiful scenery in the trails, especially overlooking the Connecticut River. So far, the railway has come in and they've cleared it and they've opened back up, as most of you know. We should make rails and trails on the west side of town. There's a lot of farmland. We should be talking to people. We should be talking to developers. People come in for new subdivisions. We should ask them, would you be willing to create rails to trails type developments where we have areas for people to walk around their properties? We're requiring more and more open space. This is something that definitely needs to be addressed in planning and zoning, and it's something that really the people in Rocky Hill deserve. Thank you.
Mr. Moriarty, same question to you. Many of our residents have put the time and effort and talent into creating and clearing the walking trails around Rock Hill. What would you do to improve the trails in our town?
You're very right with that. The leader of that is Ed Chicarello, and his group out there at different times along with Sandy Kelly. And that all started when the Republican mayor wanted to sell the second phase of the industrial park there and wanted to go up the town. For those of you who've never been down there, Dipping Pond, Higher Lower Pond is probably one of the most beautiful pieces of property in this area of the state with the waterfall. Right? It's an industrial spot one time years ago. It would be nice to put rails and trails in the west end of town, but last I knew there was no rails out there, so maybe we can have just trails. The thing is, we need somewhere for these people to go in town where they don't have to travel. It's nice we have volunteers to do this, it's always the same people though. All right, we need to get more people out there. That piece of property down there at Dipping Pond is something that I would see almost like Elizabeth Park, people down there fishing, people down there in paddle boats. I mean, just enjoying themselves, and people do. For any of you who've been around town long enough, I remember Tom Heck from Hicks Gas Station down there ice skating almost every day on Upper Pond. And I think at that time he was 90. Okay? There's fishing there, there's trout there, people should go check it out. It would have been nice if the trail alongside the rail and alongside the Connect River never reopened, because then we would have had a real nice trail there. We would have went to a true trail type pouring on that to get from the Quarry Park all the way through Rockville Ferry, all the way down to Buckley Park, all the way down to Dipping Pond. It would almost be a whole length of property along town Rocky Hill. I would like to see someday maybe we bring the Boy Scouts in down there. And we got 2 packs in town. Maybe we can get a portion down there where they can have sites where they can camp and they can hang out down there and do the things the Boy Scouts should be doing rather than sitting in a school or a firehouse. Because that's what they learn. It's just being proud of pride and music. And I was fortunate enough to be at 2 Eagle Scout ceremonies this year. And I tell you, these kids do a lot for that type of badges, their last badges, their honors. The thing is, people don't have time to do a lot of stuff that we want them to do. Many of you have young kids, you're going to dancing, you're going to sports, you're running here, you're running there. So we're fortunate that we do have a small nucleus that can do this. The town has been down there quickly since Zario, her staff, helped them out down there, okay, and making it safe. Because that's first and foremost, that's what we got to do. It's nice that we have the town people doing it, but we can't let them get hurt while they're doing it. We did have a gentleman down there cutting down trees with a chainsaw and stuff. That we can't have. But we can go down, we can clean brush, we can go down the corners, but we definitely don't want to make sure that somebody gets hurt while they're donating our time to our town. Thank you.
Mr. Moriarty, final question to you. Why do you want to take on the challenge of becoming mayor?
Well, why would I want to take it on? I already did. Okay? And like I said, my first meeting was right into the budget process. Right after that, we let go of the department head and one of his employees. And we've done more with less, and that's how I'm going to do it in the future. All it is, we have great town employees on every staff, every department. What we can do is we can join some departments to be more efficient. All right? It's working smarter, not harder. Do more with less. All right? We can have it where we can have a highway department and the parks department merge. We can have it where people can put applications, do it online, and don't have to come to the town hall.
Yeah.
Okay? We can have it where our seniors will have their own building, so they can do what they want to do. They don't have to be forced out. They don't have to play their card games. While those guys coming down and playing basketball at lunchtime in center school. It's got to be more user-friendly of a building, but more ADA accessible. You know, have basketball tournaments there, have maybe shuffleboard stuff for the men, because that's one of the things is, when I met with the women, there was only one gentleman there, they said, the guys don't want to come down, there's nothing for them. They weren't too fond of doing knitting and stuff, I guess. Right? But that's the stuff we got to do. We got to listen to our seniors. We got to listen to our residents. We got to listen to our kids. They're the ones that know what they want. It's going to be my job to make sure they get it, and it's so it's at a reasonable amount of money so everybody can afford it. And sometimes that's not that easy. Because the best finance is, don't cut my services, but don't raise my taxes. 95% of the budget is hard. You can't move it, you can't touch it. It's all contractual, it's your cost of your electricity, it's your cost of your gas. It's a cost of doing business as a community. And at a mill rate of 26.6, there's not a soul in this room that can tell me that mill rate is too high. All right? Because I tell you what, if you want less, you're going to get less. And if you want less, I move out of town.
Mr. Vasel, same question to you. Why do you want to take on the challenge of becoming mayor?
I was approached by a bunch of people, and the more people I meet every day knocking on doors, actually want me to go to Washington. They want a guy with fresh ideas, with small business experience. Ladies and gentlemen, I can deliver you more services for less tax dollars than you've seen in the past 10 years. I have a degree in finance. I have a complete slate that's highly qualified interviewed by me. I have a CPA. I have an attorney. I have a school teacher. I have a homemaker. I have people who have been in business all their life. I have people who have been in financing all their life. I have people who have run small offices all their life. Team Henry is a complete team. Not only do we have a plan, but we can implement the plan. Having a plan is no good if you can't put it to motion. Ladies and gentlemen, I can make this town better. I'm 100% positive I can. I can turn it into a self-sustaining town. Somebody that relies less and less on the state and federal government, which is where we need to be. Ladies and gentlemen, the economy is bad. Don't take my word for it. Watch the news. Read the paper. There's issues out there. We need Rocky Hill to be more sustainable. We need to be more vibrant. We need more revenue producers, and we need to do it on our own. You know, there was also a time in history when the federal government had $81 million in debt and thought it was no big thing, it would never get any higher. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to add a $10 million referendum. $81 million in debt. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but picture this. We have a $66 million budget every year. Let's say you make $60,000 a year and you're $80,000 in debt. Do you think there's a little problem there? Yeah. I can see it. Yeah. I can see it. You know, we really can't put off a discussion about the future of Rocky Hill, and I'm glad that we're here tonight, and I want to thank Mr. Moriarty again for showing up. You know, putting off... Well, without Mr. Moriarty, we can't have a debate, right? The We talked about it briefly. The second thing I want to do is we got to work on all-day kindergarten. It's something that needs to be done as part of the Common Core standards. We need to work on our seniors. Our seniors need help. All of our seniors need help. They're looking to us for guidance. They've given to the community. They've given for years. They've given their lives. They've paid their taxes. Oh my goodness. I already got the 30-minute thing. I want to get all 19,000 people in Rocky Hill involved. Now, Mr. Moriarty is saying up here, well, you know what? I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of presence. Well, you know what? That may be true, but just remember, folks, a bunch of amateurs built Noah's Ark. A bunch of professionals built the Titanic. We saw how that turned out.
Mr. Moriarty, closing remarks.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank the President of Chambers, Henry Vasel, for putting this on, along with Brian and Mary. Thank you very much. I want to thank Jeff Coleman, the Chair of Republican, Carol Bear, for bringing people. I have experience, and I showed you what I did in the last 6 months. Okay? I have dedication, and I have proactivity. I know what has to be done in the schools. I know everybody wants all-day kindergarten. I was fighting for that 2-3 years ago. The funny thing nobody mentioned tonight is school security. We put it in the budget to hire a company for SR 24 to do that security. I met with the seniors. I started that conversation already. I'm not waiting until after the election. Because they called me, they want to sit down, I met with them. I'm here to serve each and every one of the residents of this town. I will fight for each and every one of you. If I stand up for you, will you stand with me? Will you stand with me?
We'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening, the Chief Manager, Mr. Vasel, and Mr. Moriarty. We'd like to thank the Chamber for sponsoring this event and its local stages for help bringing this beautiful set design. At the end, we'd also like to thank Marty Sticklich for providing Channel 14 for coverage of the event. The Boy Scouts in the back, giving out Cub Scouts in the back, giving out treats, and the candidates themselves will be in the foyer to answer some of your questions and for our meet and greet. Thank you everyone again for coming and having